In the carefully curated world of fame, some stories are written in press releases. Others are whispered in the shadows of paparazzi lenses and dissected in the comments of fan theories. This is a story of the latter. It's a tale of two stars from seemingly different galaxies: Harry Styles, the record-breaking pop icon, and Zoe Kravitz, the genre-defying artist and style oracle. Their connection sparked on live television, but what happened after the cameras stopped rolling? This isn't a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. This is a puzzle, a collection of moments, glances, and cryptic clues that have left millions wondering, are we witnessing a brilliant friendship or one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the enigmatic bond between Harry and Zoe. Our story begins, as many modern stories do, on Saturday Night Live. The date, November 16th, 2019. Harry was the musical guest. Zoe was a writer. In the skits, their chemistry was undeniable. But watch those clips again. Look past the laughs. There's an ease, a familiarity that seems to go beyond two colleagues reading from a cue card. It's in the lingering eye contact, the unscripted smiles. This wasn't just professional courtesy. For those who wanted to see it, it felt like the first chapter of something much bigger. The spark was lit, and the world was watching. What happened next was a series of moments that fueled the speculation engine into overdrive. The timeline is interesting, to say the least. Both Harry and Zoe ended their long-term relationships around the same period in late 2022. And then, the sightings began. Not secretive, hidden encounters, but bold, public appearances. Dinner in New York. Zoe attending Harry's concerts, not in a VIP box, but side stage, immersed in the music. The Grammys after-party in 2023 was a focal point. Images of them together, radiating a specific, intimate energy. But here's where it gets complex. Was this a picture of a modern, amicable circle, or a clever smokescreen? The narrative was no longer black and white. It was a captivating shade of gray. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a style choice might be worth 1,000,000. And this is where the plot thickens into a fascinating narrative of its own. Around the time their friendship went public, a subtle but significant shift occurred. Harry Styles, the king of flamboyant suits and pearl necklaces, began embracing a different aesthetic. We saw more vintage band tees, worn-in leather jackets, and an overall quieter, more downtown cool vibe. Coincidence? Or was this the influence of Zoe Kravitz, a woman whose style is the very definition of that effortless rock and roll insouciance? Then came the jewelry. Eagle-eyed fans began noticing pieces that felt conversational. A necklace that seemed to reference a shared joke. A ring that appeared on one, then maybe on the other. In the world of celebrity, where every accessory is a potential message, these choices are never accidental. They are a language. Were Harry and Zoe engaging in a silent, sartorial dialogue, sending coded messages of connection through their fashion choices? It's a theory that turned their every public appearance into a high-fashion treasure hunt. As public figures, they control the narrative on red carpets and in interviews. But it's in the stolen, unguarded moments, the spaces in between, where the most compelling clues are often found. The paparazzi shots leaving the same New York studio late at night. The fact that they were both in London, then in Los Angeles, during the same narrow windows of time, with no official professional reason to be there. These aren't public displays. These are fragments of a private life that accidentally slipped into view. The most telling details are often the smallest. The specific, secluded restaurants known only to locals. The back exits used to avoid the spotlight. The choice to be seen, but not seen together. This isn't the behavior of two people simply nurturing a public friendship. This is the dance of two individuals fiercely protecting something they've deemed precious and private. It raises the ultimate question. If there's nothing to hide, Why the meticulously constructed secrecy? The very effort to remain under the radar only intensifies the speculation that there is, in fact, something significant happening far away from the flashbulbs. In the celebrity playbook, there's a standard protocol for rumors. You either deny them outright, laugh them off on a talk show, or you simply ignore them until they fade away. But the strategy employed by Harry and Zoe has been different. It's been a masterclass in strategic silence. They have never, ever publicly addressed the nature of their relationship. Not to confirm, and crucially, not to deny. Think about that. In an era where a single Instagram story can shut down a news cycle, their choice to say nothing is deafening. When directly asked, they've skillfully pivoted, praising each other's talent, highlighting their creative connection, but leaving the central question hanging in the air. This deliberate ambiguity is more powerful than any statement. It refuses to give the story an ending. It keeps the mystery alive. Because once you deny something, the conversation stops. But when you stay silent, you allow the world to keep wondering, to keep searching for clues. In this case, silence isn't just golden. It's a narrative weapon. To truly understand the magnetic pull between these two, we need to look beyond the rumors and into the mirror of their own lives. Because on the surface, Harry Styles and Zoe Kravitz seem to come from different planets. But if you look closer, you start to see a stunning reflection, a series of parallel paths that make their connection feel almost inevitable. Let's start at the beginning. Both were born into fame, but not of their own making. Harry through the manufactured firestorm of One Direction, Zoe as the daughter of iconic artists. They didn't choose the spotlight, it chose them. They've both spent their entire adult lives navigating the strange, often suffocating reality of being known before you know yourself. They understand the unique pressure of legacy, of constant comparison, of never quite being able to claim your identity as fully your own. But their rebellion took similar forms. They both became architects of their own authenticity. Harry shattered the boy band mold, embracing a fluid, genre-bending artistry that confused his critics and electrified his fans. Zoe carved her own path away from the shadow of her parents, becoming a respected musician, actor, and fashion icon in her own right, a symbol of cool intellectual edge. They share a language beyond words, a language of art. He through his music, she through her film roles and her band. They are both collectors of vintage clothing, curators of their own unique aesthetic. They are, in essence, two artists who have built their kingdoms on the same foundation, a deep, almost obsessive commitment to being truly, uncompromisingly themselves. When you see it from this angle, their bond isn't surprising. It's a meeting of two souls who have fought the same battles and arrived at the same destination. They don't just like each other, they recognize each other. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or perhaps the one who is conspicuously and comfortably still in the room. John Mulaney. The existence of a seemingly strong, amicable relationship between Harry and Zoe's ex-husband is, for many, the single biggest argument against a romance. But what if we look at it through a different lens? What if it's not a contradiction, but the most fascinating clue of all? This isn't the typical Hollywood post-breakup script. There's no icy silence, no bitter tabloid wars. Instead, we've seen them sharing laughs at parties, moving in the same creative circles. This points to something far more modern and nuanced. It suggests a deep, fundamental respect that transcends the end of a marriage. It paints a picture of a man who values Zoe's happiness and the integrity of their shared friendships so profoundly that he remains a part of the ecosystem. This creates a compelling dynamic. It's not a love triangle, it's a circle, a closed, private, and fiercely loyal circle where the usual rules don't seem to apply. The fact that Harry can coexist so peacefully within this structure speaks volumes. It suggests a level of maturity and security that is rare. It implies that whatever bond exists between him and Zoe is built on a foundation so solid that it doesn't require the demolition of what came before. This isn't a messy scandal. It's a masterclass in complex adult relationships that defies easy categorization, making the truth both more mysterious and more respectable. In the 21st century, the most telling evidence of any relationship lives online. A stray like, a comment, a shared post. It's the digital footprint that confirms or denies our suspicions. But with Harry and Zoe, we are faced with a void, a deliberate, almost unnerving digital silence. They do not follow each other on Instagram. There are no casual, friendly comments on each other's posts. It's as if, in the digital world, their connection does not exist. But here's where it gets fascinating. This absence isn't an accident, it's a statement. In an era of curated oversharing, their choice to leave no digital trace is a powerful act of rebellion. It's a firewall erected to protect something sacred from the endless analysis of the online mob. Think about it. If they were to interact even once online, it would ignite a firestorm of speculation. Their silence is a pact, a mutual agreement to keep their world, whatever it may be, separate from the noise of the internet. This digital ghosting isn't proof of nothing. It's proof of everything. It's the strongest indicator that there is something so real, so significant, that it requires this level of protection. They are actively hiding in plain sight, and the blank space where their digital interaction should be screams louder than any tweet ever could. Here's the meta twist in our story. The audience is no longer just watching. We have become active participants, co-authors in this unfolding narrative. Every blurred paparazzi photo, every cryptic song lyric, every fashion choice is fed into the global analytical machine. TikTok timelines become evidence boards. Reddit threads turn into detective agencies. We are not just speculating, we are world building. And this phenomenon changes the nature of the story itself. Our collective obsession breathes life into the mystery, giving it a weight and a presence that exists independently of Harry and Zoe. It becomes a cultural Rorschach test. What you see in their story says more about you, your desires for romance, your beliefs about friendship, your theories on fame than it may say about them. We are projecting our own scripts onto their blank canvas. The question is no longer just, are they or aren't they? The deeper question has become, why are we as a culture so desperate for this particular fairy tale to be true? The mystery of Harry and Zoe has evolved into a mirror held up to our own fascination with love, privacy, and the stories we tell ourselves in the dark. If we step back from the specifics of Harry and Zoe for a moment, we have to ask ourselves, why does this particular story have such a powerful grip on our collective imagination? In a world saturated with celebrity relationships, what makes this one different? Perhaps it's because it represents a modern fantasy, not a fairy tale with a clear-cut romance, but something more nuanced and relatable. It's the fantasy of finding a true equal, someone who understands the unique pressures of your world without needing an explanation. In an age where we're all carefully curating our own identities online, their story taps into a deep desire for a connection that transcends public perception. There's also the intellectual appeal of the mystery itself. Unlike other celebrity stories that are spoon-fed through coordinated PR campaigns, this one requires active participation. We become digital detectives, analyzing every clue. This participatory aspect creates a sense of investment that goes beyond typical fandom. We're not just passive consumers, we're part of the narrative. Ultimately, the enduring fascination with Harry and Zoe may say less about them and more about us. In a world of oversharing and instant gratification, their story preserves the romance of mystery. It allows room for imagination and interpretation. It reminds us that some of the most meaningful connections are those that don't need to be proven to the world to be real. Let's push beyond the romance speculation and consider what the Harry and Zoe phenomenon reveals about celebrity culture itself. We're living through a peculiar moment where fame has become both more accessible and more alienating. Social media gives us unprecedented access, yet creates deeper mystification. Their story exists precisely in this paradox. They represent a new archetype. Celebrities who understand that in an age of total exposure, the most powerful currency is mystery. While other stars document their every meal and relationship milestone, Harry and Zoe have mastered the art of strategic ambiguity. They give us just enough to keep us watching, but never enough to satisfy our curiosity. This isn't accidental. It's a brilliant understanding of 21st century attention economics. The intense focus on their relationship also reflects our collective discomfort with ambiguous relationships. Why can't we accept that two people might share a profound connection that defies categorization? Our need to label it as romance or friendship says more about our own limitations than theirs. Perhaps what makes us most uncomfortable is that they seem to have created a model of intimacy that exists outside our conventional understanding, and that's exactly what makes it so compelling to watch. Regardless of how their personal story unfolds, the cultural impact of the Harry and Zoe narrative is already secure. It will be remembered as a defining celebrity mystery of our time, not because of what was revealed, but because of what was withheld. In an era of compulsive sharing, they demonstrated the power of keeping something precious private. This story may ultimately be less about them and more about the evolution of fandom. Future cultural historians will look back at this phenomenon as a perfect case study of 21st century celebrity consumption. How fans became investigators, how ambiguity became a narrative strategy, and how two artists maintained creative autonomy while the world watched their every move. The most lasting legacy might be how they redefined celebrity intimacy itself. They proved that in today's hyper-exposed world, the most radical act is to protect your truth fiercely, whether that truth is a great friendship, a hidden romance, or something beautifully in between. Their story reminds us that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, they're meant to be appreciated as works of art in progress. And so we arrive at the final act of our mystery, a mystery that, by design, may never have a true finale. The story of Harry Styles and Zoe Kravitz isn't a puzzle to be solved. It's a mirror reflecting our own deepest yearnings for connection in a disconnected world. It's a testament to the radical idea that in an age of relentless exposure, the most precious thing one can possess is a secret worth protecting. Perhaps the truth is simpler than we imagine. Or perhaps it's more complex than we can comprehend. But the real magic lies not in the answer, but in the question itself, in the space between what we see and what we feel. In the beautiful, maddening, utterly human need to believe that somewhere out there two souls are writing a story so extraordinary, they choose to keep its most beautiful chapters for themselves. The curtain never truly falls on a story like this. It simply waits for the next act. And as the lights come up, we're left with a single, haunting thought. The greatest love story ever told might be the one that was never told at all. So what's the final verdict on Harry and Zoe? After all the speculation, the grainy photos, the dissected lyrics, and the endless online theories, we're left with a truth that's both simpler and, in its own way, more profound than any rumor. We've witnessed the birth and evolution of a genuine connection between two artists who operate in the same rarefied air of global fame. We've seen them become each other's silent allies in an industry that often commodifies personal life. This story was never about a secret romance waiting to be exposed. It was a public lesson in the power of platonic intimacy. In a world that constantly demands definition, are they dating? Are they just friends? Their bond defiantly exists in a category of its own. It's a creative partnership, a sanctuary of understanding, a friendship that has captivated millions precisely because it refuses to be labeled. And perhaps that's the most revolutionary statement they could have made. In protecting the true nature of their connection from the public's insatiable appetite, they gave us something far more valuable, a masterclass in grace. A reminder that the most meaningful stories are often the ones that don't need a dramatic ending to be significant. Their legacy isn't a headline. It's the quiet, powerful example of how to navigate the spotlight while fiercely guarding the human truth of your relationships.